Does the term public servant sound like an anachronism to you? Something from a bygone era where people believed that the government worked for them? When they paid the salaries, they believed they were the masters? Well, the mindset among most people in government today appears to be that they are the masters, we are the slaves, and many of the slaves have that same attitude. Take this story out of Louisiana. A mother's concerned when her asthmatic son turns red, complains of chest pains, so she calls for an ambulance. Now, the EMS personnel don't show much concern for his medical condition. In fact, even though he's pointing to his chest, according to the mother, they say, well, he's pointing to his stomach, so he's not having any chest issues or asthma conditions. And then they start to ask why he's not in school. When they find out that he's homeschooled, they begin an inspection of the house. Taken back by this, she confronts these EMS personnel and they say, well, we're agents of the state. So she calls the supervisor and complains, and he says, they're agents of the state. Now, that's in Louisiana. In North Carolina, a sheriff is talking about the immense powers that he has over your life as part of his election campaign. In an article from Lou Rockwell's blog that's on InfoWars, Sheriff Ed Brown, the delusional dictator of Onslow County, North Carolina, he writes on his election flyer, the vast majority of our duties and functions are performed with only our conscience watching and directing us. And that's a big part of the problem. We see over and over again that violent confrontations with the public, unjustifiable violence and brutality against the public is rarely, if ever, disciplined against the officers who commit these offenses. They're protected by the police department or by the unions. Rarely does anything ever happen to them, so they get this message loud and clear. This is the rest of his flyer. Those in the law enforcement profession have complete power over you, your life, your family, your loved ones, your rights, your freedom, your future, everything precious to life. From the very word of a law enforcement officer, all those precious things of life hang. We've seen over and over again that attitude, not only from law enforcement, but from every government agency, that they have complete power over you, your life, your family, everything hangs by a thread, hangs by their discretion, that they're not accountable to anyone. Were those remarks out of context? Were they misconstrued? Actually, Sheriff Brown's supporters have essentially doubled down on his remarks. Here's what one person wrote to a newspaper. Officers can ask you to get out of their car. They can handcuff you to protect themselves. They have a lot of power over your life. If you're in a dangerous situation, your life is in their hands. No, actually, he got that wrong. If your life is in their hands, you're in a dangerous situation. This sheriff is up for re-election this Tuesday. And look at what he did at a forum where he's debating his opponent. He actually accused his political opponent of being involved in bombing threats that were carried out by an 18-year-old. The way that he made these threats was with a threatening phone call, which was recorded.
This young man has told me you're the reason for his bomb threats. And the general public is going to believe that.
You hear Brown on the phone with his longtime friend and challenger, Hans Miller.
When somebody makes false allegations without corroboration, that, to me, is a loss of integrity, and integrity, once lost, can never be gained back.
That's right. He makes these vague threats, and he says, well, I don't know what to make of this. I'm just going to have to call in the media and let them decide whether this is true or not. A threat, trying to get the guy to back off.
I find there is absolutely no credible evidence to support such an allegation against Hans Miller or his campaign.
But of course, the district attorney says it is totally unprofessional, and it's not the first unprofessional thing this guy has done. This now borders on the ridiculous. This same North Carolina sheriff, Sheriff Brown of Onslow County, used a wire hanger as a divining rod to search for a buried body. Now, this is being reported by the SBI, the State Bureau of Investigation, North Carolina. And what he did was he took this divining rod and he walked back and forth over the area so much that he erased any footprints, hampering the investigation. So the question is, though, who is dumber, this sheriff or the people who will vote for him?
My friends, Alex Jones here to tell you about some of the most important information concerning you and your family's health. Radiation levels have more than doubled in the last 60 years in the Northern Hemisphere from all of the nuclear testing and radiological accidents. Radioactive contamination is now in most of the food supply. There's only 2 ways to avoid this. Move south of the equator or properly protect your thyroid with Nascent Iodine. Survival Shield Nascent Iodine. Secure your super high quality Nascent Iodine today at InfoWarsLife.com.